Hey guys, it's Unting or Anthian, and this is going to be the second Warbands talk. Yes, there was the first one, and it explained how I make my videos and the motive I have for doing certain things. If you're curious about that, please check it out. The subject for this one is going to be about death and gear. I'm sure some people wonder why I'm just about always in Royal or Acrosays and not in Karos or Gano, and also why I haven't been using any Nox weaponry. Here's the thing, I'm like 10% PKer and 90% skiller. I'm not as invested to warbands as other people may be. My main goal right now is to have the money I need to finish off my 200 million skills, so I feel uncomfortable of potentially slowing down my other goal if I lose a Noxus bow or something from getting smited. Not only that, but when someone loses a Nox item, within 5 minutes everyone and their grandmas know about it. I'm like, what the hell? People give so much shit when that happens, and it's just criticism I don't really need. I'd probably consider using it if I never got smited, which isn't the case, so I would expect to get smited eventually. Also, my internet's not up to scratch, so even if I was good at keeping my prayers up, if I disconnect at the wrong place at the wrong time, it's over for me. I often hop worlds in the middle of the wilderness. Plus, I like to show potential in lesser gear. Royal crossbow swag, man. Yeah, it puts me at a disadvantage with Nox users, and even if I'm using darts, I just try to adjust to the situation. How I think of it, if you're at a 10% less damage disadvantage, just try 10% harder if possible. So when it comes to why I don't use better armor, it's just that I don't find it significant enough in multi-PKing situations. I mean, if I was using melee as shown here, I would wear burls rather than rune. But in the case of using carols over royal, the benefits are almost to be ignored, unless you just want to risk more for the fun of it. I mean, who doesn't want to pimp out in full Death Lotus if their access money has nowhere left to go? But in the royal to carols case, you're talking about a tier 65 to 70 at like 50 times the cost, but for like 1 to 2% more damage reduction and maybe like 7% more block chance at most or something. Also, when you wear more expensive gear, you'll be targeted more, which really offsets the benefits of wearing better armor. I think it's more of a showing off thing than putting it to use, or that you can show that you can risk more and not like be wearing scrub gear all the time. Whenever I see someone in Sea Singers, they would tell you as soon as they're outnumbered or at like half life points. I don't really blame them, but that's not really putting tier 85 armor to use if you're not willing to lose it. And this is the wilderness. Just be prepared to lose anything you bring in the wilderness. At least I use Royal, and I'm putting all my life points to use and exposing myself to risk more. Maybe when and if I get all 200 million skills, I'll wear pop gear and Nox items for the fun of it when I don't really need money anymore. But right now, wearing fancy gear doesn't really suit my fighting style, cause those in pop armor are likely to stay with the group and avoid getting piled. As for me, I like running around randomly and yoloing by myself, not really caring if I die. I still try to help the team, but I like having as much freedom as I can in the wilderness. So I wear armor that puts me at ease, even if it's not that good. At least I still try. Having a calm state of mind will help you PK better than worrying about losing your expensive gear or getting smited. Even if you're good at tanking, it doesn't matter what armor you use if you lag to death. My computer isn't great, so I cannot fight at all when there's 200 people moving around in close proximity. I literally just crash or get one frame every 5 seconds. It doesn't even become skill anymore, but a test of good computers. So whenever that happens, I just try to move out of the way and fight from the rear so I actually know what's going on. Other ways of dying would be cape hiders. I've said it before, I do not like cape hiding wars, because it becomes a war to win at all costs, rather than fighting for the fun of it. It's not like I can stop people from doing it. Same with people killing other people's yaks, cause the wilderness is free game. But how can you feel proud of winning through deceiving your opponents and thinking you're the ally? There's been a lot of cape hunting wars, but I haven't really enjoyed most of them. And I've said that before in the footage. I use my videos are based on what I find interesting. I'm all up for a good war, but it's not interesting in my opinion when the video shows an enemy getting chased by a bunch of guys, nor is it interesting if we're getting chased and not even fighting back. I try to look for a median between the two and try to have a balance of both among videos. Now that I figure that there's cape hiders among a mass, I'm just gonna get out, not even going to bother. I'm sure most, if not all, FCs use TeamSpeak or Skype to coordinate with each other. There's also a factor of being a high profile player in the wilderness, such as being an FC leader or something, so you're likely to get targeted more anyways. I personally don't like when people choose specific targets for their own grudges or something. It just takes the fun away when I'm trying to PK someone and someone's always trying to attack me. Who I attack for the most part is who I see first, or the one that will be the most beneficial or help the pile in overcoming the situation. If it seems like I target you a lot, it's probably just coincidence. I just target who I see. It just makes PKing less biased when you don't have a single when you don't single out people for your own reasons. Of course, I sometimes wonder why people do this or that, but I'd rather not hold anything personal against anyone. I got better things to worry about. Another form of death would be miscommunications, which happens to me pretty often. Someone would tell me where allies are, and I just end up running into a bunch of enemies. And I'm pretty much like, oh shit, I've said this before, I could care less about how much I die, or other people dying. It's just unnecessary to get butthurt over it. I choose not to teleport half the times in situations I could have, and not soon enough at least, when I'm not even teleport blocked. Here's how it works for me. I don't try to survive at all costs, but I don't try to give up either. If that makes any sense. Like, if I'm still there, I'll try to tank and try to run away from the situations. I don't want to teleport unless the situation's hopeless for me or I run out of food, but at least while I'm still there, I'll try not to die. Other times when I teleport is when there's a regroup somewhere, and it doesn't really help if I dick around by myself too long. So yeah, I'll tele out of nowhere. Perhaps the best kind of death is the yellow death, which I like to do all the time. As you can see, I am wearing a Christmas outfit and trying to PK for the fun of it. How can you say I'm even trying to survive at this point? I just don't think there's really a need to make a big fuss about deaths. This is the wilderness after all. You can say people don't want to look bad dying a lot, and I can understand their point, but when people don't care how much they die, there's no reason to put them down for it. That's why I find trash talking so dumb. You say they're bad and they should leave the wildy, but what's good is that? Don't you want people to PK? It's hard for me to respect players who don't know good sportsmanship. Why ruin the experience for other players? People have different objectives for PKing, not just bragging rights. If you insist on bragging or trash talking, then you're just putting on a front that no one probably cares. I don't try to make enemies out of people, but rather people will make an enemy out of me for whatever reason. I've been on RS long enough to know that some people can't be convinced, and I'll leave it as that. Also, note that I'm just speaking in general. I'm not drawing any specific cases. That's just about all for this one. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas and a soon-to-be Happy New Year's. Yeah, this was a great example of a yellow death. Of course, I could tell you from there, but I choose not to. Just go crazy, man. Who cares how much you die or what gear you use? As long as you put in the effort while you're in the wilderness, that is what counts to me. Oh, and here's an updated kill-death ratio of mine after that last death. I think it's alright, considering how much I screw around.